we're going to this discussion. Okay, so yesterday we talked about how you want to present your data, okay, or the data you have collected, and how you want to present it in a graphical form. Okay, and I've mentioned that it's possible do as much data, collect as much as possible, and then plot as much graph as possible, and then to show to the examiner that you have done a lot of work. Okay, and today's part is going to after you have the result, what you want to do with the result. Okay, and the discussion part is the most important part, where the examiner will want to read your comments from the graph. Okay, so when you're doing a PhD and master, there's no more like degree level where when you just show a graph and then you just write a simple statement. The graph increase, the graph decrease. So that is for degree level, it's still acceptable. Okay, but for master and PhD level, you need to actually elaborate why this graph happened like this. Okay, and if suddenly there's a drop in one area, you have to explain why there's a drop. Is it because of the material that you add in that causes it? And is the drop good or no good? Okay, or if the graph increase, it's going to be much better or not. So all this, we call it very intense discussion must be written. Okay, so how to write in chapter 4, okay, result and discussion. You can see there's two types here, type A and then type B. Okay, so type A, some students, when they write the thesis, they want to just present all the findings first. Okay, so you have research question 1, 2, 3. You present all the findings, then only you discuss based on the question that you have or the plot graph that you have shown. Okay, so this one of the type A. Okay, but I like the type B much better because when you present one research question, the result there, you straight away explain the finding and discussion. Okay. Otherwise, if you use type A, then you must make sure that all the figures and all the notation must tally. Okay. If you say, okay, please refer to figure 1. So when the examiner go to discussion part and find, okay, figure 1 refer to this discussion part 1. Okay. So that one, you have to be careful if you use type A. But if type B, then you are much secure because you already explained the answer on top, and then straight away you discuss the whatever details answer that you want to explain regarding the graph from type B. Okay, so these two types. Okay, and as I said last time, my thesis in PhD, I actually use type B, but not in the same chapter 4. Okay, so I have used type B, but research question 1, then I have one chapter. Research question 2, I have another chapter. So that's why my thesis was around 10. Okay, so that was the style in overseas lah. Okay. Put in the thesis all the paper about discussion methodology, result. I think just put in all the papers accepted or published from high impact journal into one thesis, and then you submit. So in Japan, the style of presenting is to public. Okay, I think your viva is not between you and the two examiner. In Japan, you have one session with the panel, and then another session is a public open session where everybody can come and listen to your thesis presentation. Okay, so that was in Japan style. Okay, but mostly most of us in Malaysia, we are following the UK style where actually a closed door indoor presentation between the student and the panel of viva. Okay, so I'm not sure now currently is one internal, one external. But actually MQA have started to request all PhD or research students to have two external and then one internal, I think. Okay, so I think UTHM have not implemented yet. In other university like UTEM, they implemented it, but what they do was two external, but only one have to be present during the Viva. Another one only just submit a report only, and then that's the internet. Okay, so there's some difference of the university doing the Viva session. Okay, okay. How to start when you want to write about discussion? Okay, so of course, you must have a bit introduction, even though in chapter 4, but it is an introduction to what you have done throughout the testing and everything, okay? And then have a general statement of, you have to tell the examiner what type of testing you have done and why you have done it, okay? So according to the in flow chart, okay? Not in flow chart, it means in flow order. Okay, so if you do test 1 first, then after explaining test 1, then explain test 2, test 3, and test 4. Okay. So, and then of course, the important thing, describe the figures tables effectively and discuss by analyzing them. Okay. Give reason, and of course, when you give reason, for example, as I said just now, why the graph increased or the graph increased because we add in this material, and then of course you also need to like relate to support from the literature review. So you have to relate to, for example, from previous paper, they have done it, and maybe they get, like for example, 10 dBm, okay, and then your result, you add in extra material, and then you get more than that, maybe 20 dBm, much better than result. Okay, so all this discussion must have a relationship, not only your general statement you written for it. Okay. So give reason and then support with literature review. Okay, so that's why literature review is also important in chapter 2. You have to choose the papers that you want to review, which is actually related to your work. Okay, so you can put in many papers you do from literature review, but you have to highlight. Let's say, for example, you do literature review for 50 papers, but at least 10 to 20 or some of them is related to your testing, so that your result can be validated, okay, or supported by this literature review. Okay. So for example, this is a simple example, analysis of result. Okay. So analysis result is crucial. Okay. So when you plot the graph, as I say, don't just explain, okay, a graph increased from 2021 until 23 and then just drop. So that's a very simple, that's why I say in degree, you can just write like increase and decrease, okay? But when you do analysis of it, you have to be quite detailed, okay? So detail means you have to have these 4 strategies in writing discussion. One is to explain. Okay, explain means you have to give reason why it happened and how it happened. Okay, so explain the scenario. Okay, and also explain the limitation. Okay, maybe you target for your material after you add into your substrate or something like that. You're supposed to get a very high value, but because due to limitation, maybe in your lab you could not proceed that high. So you only can manage to give you some certain result, but the result is still much better than previous work. Then it's still fine, okay? But you can give an explanation of the limitation. Okay? And always, like as I say yesterday, I show how you validate and do reliability tests is to compare with the findings of other research. So relate to different findings. Okay. So like I showed you yesterday, the second last graph where we can plot your work and a few other papers' work, okay, together in the same graph. That is what we call comparison to show that your work is reliable, okay, and then also can be validated together, okay. And of course, also evaluate, okay, evaluate what you expected to see and also try to find what you unexpected to see. Okay, sometimes for example, when you do some chemical reaction together, sometimes you are supposed to see there's only, like for example, oxygen or carbon monoxide only released, and then suddenly you found there's some nitrogen gas released when you plot the graph. Okay, so that is some unexpected sharp graph shown in the graph. Okay, so especially when you do this FESAM plotting and everything, sometimes you can see something different inside the FESAM graph, okay, or the picture. Okay, so this unexpected thing also you must explain together in the picture. Okay, why it happened. Okay? So and also things that is unsatisfactory or insignificant, so you can tell. Okay, so maybe there's a from the graph you can see there's a sharp peak. Okay, but maybe the sharp peak is only very low value. Okay, then we can say, oh, this is insignificant. This is due to noise. Okay, so usually like we are doing communication experimental, when we use the spectrum analyzer to plot. So the plot graph which is a higher value, then one we will take into consideration. Some of the peak which is a very low value, so usually we will say it's due to the noise. So that one is insignificant. But you can write in when you show the picture of the graph, you can also write in the statement, those small tiny peak is insignificant, or maybe the value is too small. When you calculate it, it will be in infinity or a negative value, so it can be ignored. Okay. So infer means develop your own viewpoints. Okay, so this is so important. Okay, because panel want to see your viewpoint on how you evaluate the output result of that system, or output result of the data that you have collected. Okay. Okay. For example, this the graph I showed you just now. Okay, the supply and demand. So what you should actually write in the discussion statement. Okay, so this is just a simple supply of a car. Okay, the supply and demand. So the general statement, when you look at the graph, you can say, oh, okay, supply is not equal to demand. Okay, because supply is demand is high and then supply is low. Okay? So the description, okay, supply 5,000 units in 2021, higher than demand, but then declined dramatically to 3,000 units. Okay, and then every single plot of the graph you have to explain. Okay, high, low, and even though this stagnant place between 2020 and 2023 remain 3,000 units, also you can explain. Okay, so from 2003 onwards, increase rapidly to 4,100 units. Okay, so when you look at the graph, these are the kind of description that you should actually write pertaining to this graph. Okay, and then if you want to actually explain more, okay, then you can separate it. Okay, because this now the graph have two things. One, supply and demand. Okay, so you can write this something general for both together, or you can have this graph and then you can talk about demand only. Okay, so you can so this is more how do you call elaboration of the discussion. Okay, so we say, okay, we talk about demand only. So you can see demand from 2021 3,500 units, and then increased rapidly to 6,000 units to 2023. Okay, and then from 2023 onwards, decline to 2,000 units, and then 2024 stagnant 2,000 units. Okay, so you can see it's elaborating more, only focusing on demand. Okay, so and then from that graph, okay, so when you do analysis, then if I'm a panel, then I'll ask, okay, after you have written the statement, panel will start to think, oh, why the demand suddenly increase, why suddenly decrease, okay, why remain constant. Okay, so even though after you have written this explanation, okay, panel will also think other things. Okay, usually the question why. Okay, so why the supply did not keep up with demand, all this why question. So all this have to be answered. Okay, either if you don't write it in the thesis, then during the viva they will ask you. Okay, so you have to answer and then they will, after you answer, they will also ask you to add into the thesis. So it's much better that before submitting, you answer. If you can answer those questions, you're able to answer, you write down straight away. Okay. So so the answer is like, okay, possibility caused by Y increase in demand. Okay, maybe a new model, good marketing strategy or pricing strategy. Okay, so possible causes Y decrease in demand, maybe a long waiting period for the car, competition from other similar category cars, poor flexibility. So these are all the possible answer that can support to why demand and why going down of the supply. Okay. So and also we can also add on some more possibly caused by why supply cannot keep up demand. So maybe due to the management poor forecasting ability. So these are all the additional things that can be add into your discussion, okay, to make it long and then precise to what you want, okay. So when examiner see it, then they say, oh, okay, this student understand from the graph, he is able to do a very good analysis on why it happened, okay. So still under this graph yet, okay. So when you portray this thing, okay, so when you show this graph in your thesis, okay, you have to write, okay, clearly, okay. So like just now, before that, I just show you just the graph and the explanation, okay. So when you present it, then you should write in the statement like figure 1 shows the relationship between supply and demand for a Tesla car, okay, between 21-25, okay. So this is the figure and that's the figure, okay. So and before you explain the graph at the bottom of the graph, so you can write in general, it can be seen that there was a mismatch between demand and supply, okay. So this is an observation from you looking at the graph, okay. So that's a mismatch because both of them, one going up, one going down, okay. So for more explanation, then you can say, okay, demand for Tesla increase, okay, and then from that point decline sharply, okay, and then remain constant, okay, and then after that the Tesla dropped steadily from 5,000 to 3,000 units, okay. So you can see this is a more much better discussion explanation of that graph, okay. So compared to just I showed earlier, those are the keywords that have to be written, okay. But if more in detail, something like this, okay. So a bit introduction, and then some general statement, and then you straight away explain to that graph, okay. So I see many, like previously my student also always they put a graph, and they always left this statement, like this one, figure 1 shows the relationship, okay. So even some of my degree student PSM, when they submit their report, they always just put a figure and then they start to explain, just write explanation, okay. So important thing must have this first sentence here, figure 1 shows what, okay, or the figure 1 above show, or figure below shows what, okay. So that's important, so that you're guiding the reader to look at this statement and then refer to which figure, okay. You can also write in other words like this, okay. Other type of statement, okay. You can start with from this same figure, you can start, okay, in contrast between year 2021, the supply of Tesla dropped steadily from 5,000 to 3,000 units, okay. From 2002 to 2000, supply appeared to level off, okay, and then remain constant. So this is another way to write a discussion also, okay. So above here, this is one way, starting refer to figure and then write the comment, okay. Or you can just straight away start with like this, in contrast between the years, straight away comment on what is happening to the graph, okay. Or you can do this type of discussion, okay. This is more a detailed one, related to the chairman of the statement, okay. So like this, the initial increase in demand could be due to the fact that Tesla was newly introduced, okay. As we know, many people intend to buy cars will normally go for new car models. So in addition, the good demand could also be the result of good marketing and price strategy. and then this is supported. Okay, now you are putting supporting evidence to support your discussion. Okay, so this claim is supported by statement made by the chairman of BYD and all those things. Okay, and then encounter should accompany with high quality. Okay, so this is how you write discussion. Okay, by including more supportive statement. Okay, so either this supportive statement you already explained in literature review, or somewhere in chapter 3, or literally between chapter 1 and chapter 2, 3, okay, that can support your discussion in chapter 4. Okay? This is another way. Okay, you can also say, however, starting from the year 2001, okay, this test start to decrease, and this one is talking about decreasing, and then this for demand is because of other similar car available. Okay, and then you are quoting to this Malaysian Automotive Association (MAA) 2025, the inability of the administration to forecast future. So this is something a statement made by the MAA, okay, and telling what happened to the forecast and demand of the cars in Malaysia from the land. Okay, so these are all, we call it supportive statement. Okay, you can put in the discussion to make your discussion more sensible. Okay, or more we call it let the external examiner or the examiner feel say that okay, what you written is correct. Okay, so it's supported by all these statements. Okay. Okay. Any question on this? How to write a discussion? Okay. So there's a few types of different way of you can portray your discussion in terms of how you want to do it. Okay. Okay. Language convention. Okay. Introduction. Okay. So as I always say, before this, my student always left out the word. Okay. Figure 1.3.1. Okay. Like for example, you can start with the statement like this. Figure 3.1 shows. Okay. Or and of course, if the thesis is very thick, okay, you cannot be always having the same line. Figure 1.3.1 show, figure 2.1 show. Okay, so maybe you can change the in some part you change. Okay, as shown in figure 3.1. Okay, so or as shown in 3.1, the relative salary of construction worker have been falling for 2 decades. So you have to have what we call a variety of writing style in the thesis, okay? Because you must understand your thesis. It might be 200 pages, 300 pages, and the examiner want to read page by page, okay? So you don't want to have the same opening line, okay? We call it opening line, okay? Every time when you want to explain something, okay? So you can, some places you can start, okay, figure shows like this. Another place then you say as shown in figure 3.1, okay. Then you write the main clause, or you can write as shown in 3.1, the relative salary, okay. So these are different, okay. Or you can write the main clause first, okay, and then it's illustrated in figure 3.1, okay. So the forest is like this. Cool and nice, okay, as shown in figure 3.1. Okay, so this is another way, okay, as illustrated in 3.1. Okay, or you can say the average demand for road repair is shown or illustrated in figure 3.1. Okay, so these are different style. Okay, or you can write the main cost, okay, and then you just bracket C figure 3.1. Okay, so this one usually I think if you look at thesis in US, they like this kind of style, okay? But in UK, they don't like the style of bracket, okay? So usually we use the first, second, third method of referring to figure, okay? So some, of course, some books or some other thesis, they like, okay, a need analysis on customer demand on broadband shows a tremendous requirement for new fiber optic cables, okay? So bracket, see figure 3.1 or refer to figure 3.1. Okay. So and then another way is observe in figure 3.1 or illustrate. Okay. So like the number of students in the queue observed in figure 2.1 illustrate how congestion is at its worst during the peak period. Okay, so these are the keywords. Okay, when you want to highlight your data, okay, your figures or your tables, okay, shows, illustrate, the figure demonstrate, or the software equation demonstrate how to coordinate this output result, okay, or the thing display, okay, despite of the problem having, okay, but usually some simple word is like describe, table usually for tabulate lah, okay, the table below tabulate, all the reference refer to this system and everything, okay. So remember this few words that I've shown here, okay. So these are we call it the famous words that can, we call it how when people read it, it looks nice lah, okay. Except a good thesis being written, okay. Okay, beside that, okay, describing figures and tables, okay. So describe change effectively the use of words, okay. So these are some of the words, okay. When you talk about the graph, okay, drop, you cannot, of course, people usually use increase, decrease, okay, but there are some other words like fluctuate, okay, drop, decline, the system fail, okay, or the instead of using stagnant, you can say the thing level off, okay, the reach up to 5,000 value, and then it's level off. So it's the same thing as stagnant, okay, plummet, peak. So these are all level out, okay, through. So these are the keywords, okay, we call it the verbs that can be used to describe your graph, okay, the pie chart or the bar chart, everything, okay. So the important thing is because usually the graph is up and down, okay. So it's which word mean go up, all of this three means go up suddenly, okay, or which word means go down, or which word means highest level, okay, or which word means stay the same, okay. So like stagnant means stay the same, okay. So fluctuate means it's going down, okay. Another word for going down, but because going down is like you drop, doesn't look nice. So when you say fluctuate between that, it's decreasing slowly, bit by bit, okay. So so these are also keywords lah, okay, that you can use when you write your thesis to describe any figures lah, okay. Okay, so changes can also be described in more detail by modifying a verb with an adverb, okay. So like just now the word was like increase, decrease. So you can add in something other, increase dramatically, okay, decrease sharply, okay. So or decline gradually, okay. So when you look at the graph, just don't just say decrease, decrease, okay, rise, drop, okay. So you can say, oh, you can notice from the graph, it rise very sharply, okay, like this peak here, rise sharply, okay. And then maybe it will say, okay, stagnant moderately, or increase slowly, okay, or increase steadily. So these are the adverbs that make it more nicer when you write your thesis, okay. So remember, okay. So these are the words that we always use, okay. Or also by using adjective, okay. Okay. So the number of fatal cases increased dramatically, okay. So it's a subject plus verb plus adverb, okay. There was a dramatic increase in the number of fatal cars, okay. So there was or were plus adjective plus noun plus in plus something, okay. So you can see when you write this kind of statement or this comment, okay, it sounds about high level, okay. Compare, you just write, okay, the number of fatal case increase, okay, or the figure show decrease. So when you have all these other words, adverbs or verb adding to it, it will make it more how to say confident that what you're writing is correct, okay, based on from the graph you write. Okay. Okay, describing graph vocabulary. Okay, so if going up like verbs, okay, go up, take off, okay, shoot up, soar, okay, some of these words use soar, the voltage jump from one level to the next level, okay, so you can have a noun, okay, an increase, a rise, okay, so purposely to highlight what the graph or the result they have shown, okay, you can say have an improvement, okay. So last time, I always remember some international student, okay, that I always evaluate. There was one tour guide. He liked to use the word novelty. Everything what he do is a novel, okay, and he always use the word. Nobody have done this before. This is the first time. This is the first time that has been said of his work. Okay, so I remember there was one case. This the examiner was smiling when he said the way he was so confident putting that his work was the first time being done. Okay, so but of course some of the work he done was really his own work okay, was first time done. Okay, but not too dramatically say everything was the first time. Okay, so we have to be careful not to overuse it, but to have some kind of these words. Okay, so like down, decrease, decline. Okay, if no change, then you can say remain stable, same level, flatten, remain constant, stabilize. Okay, so at the top, okay, this is the very top. Okay, so there's up for verb, up for the noun, down for verb, down for noun, no change. And at the top and at the bottom, okay, some of you can say, oh, reach to a very low point or bottom out, okay. And then if the spike suddenly go up and then come down again, so you can say, oh, initially decreasing, then suddenly spike stick out, you can say, oh, recover from a bounce back already, okay. So these are kind of words that if possible, incorporate into your thesis when you discuss. Okay. So, so this is, for example, another pie chart. Okay. So look at this pie chart, a very simple one. So we can see how we explain. Okay. This is about three grades. Okay. First grade, second grade. Okay. So you can see when you explain this pie chart, the way you write it, it should be like this. Okay. The chart shows the grade obtained by student in the class. Okay, and overall, okay, you can say overall, more than 93% of the student obtain first and second grade. Okay, from this combination level. Okay, and then more than half of the student obtain a very good grade. So these are all elaboration, trying to how to say talk more about the good things happening. Okay, more than half of the students obtain a very good grade, with 47% get awarded first grade, 44% obtain second grade, and while only 9% obtain third grade. Okay, so a more detailed explanation on this pie chart. Okay, if you look at this, another okay means of communication. Okay, so when you show the graph of the pie chart, make sure you have this legend. Okay, so a lot of students also miss out on the legend. Okay, they just show the pie chart with different colors. Okay, so make sure you have the legend. Okay, and then when you compare this, okay, so figure 1, prefer modes of communication among male students in H2D class, and then prefer modes of communication among students in H2 class. Okay, so do a comparison instead of combining all of them into one, so we can break up into another result. Okay, so like this one just now, everything into one. Okay, so if you want to show more result or more analysis you've done, so from this many only just say first grade, second grade, third grade, you can break into okay, one for the male, one for the students, for the female. Okay, so now you can see you have like showing the examiner, you do more analysis and then you can break out into more detailed output of it. Okay. So from this these two pie chart, okay, you can see the elaboration. Okay, the two pie chart illustrate preferred mode of communication for sixth form media. Survey taken by two HD classes. Okay, one male and another female. And then you can look at the words, and both genders show similar usage pattern means of communication. Okay, because from the graph you can see almost same pattern. Okay, only the percentage is a bit different. Okay, so you can have this statement, and then you can say, oh, first the telephone emerged as the most popular mode for the guys, for the males, proportion of 27%, and then rank almost at high 22% for female. Okay, and then was tied in their cases by text messaging. Okay, and then text messaging also ranked high for the men. Okay, so very detailed. Okay, explain email and instant. So you describe one by one of inside here. Okay, but of course highlighting what is the highest percent and what's the lowest percent. Okay, so then you can say email and instant become a third and fourth popularity. Scoring 17 to 16%, okay, and then dropping, and then you can see the last female student give facts only 10%, okay, and after explaining of the two pie chart for the female and the male, then it's always good to have some kind of this conclude statement at the bottom here, okay, to conclude, okay, preference of the 6 modes of communication were almost identical of the sex, okay, both favor communication in email and instant, okay. But of course, not all the graphs that you want to conclude now, okay. Usually we do this conclusion if at the last of the chapter 4, if you want to explain the after conclusion of all the results you have shown above, then you conclude, okay, from all the graphs, what is the best option or the best which of the best mode is giving you the good output result and everything, okay. So that is to conclude if this is the last graph from that system, okay. So conclusion is actually for the last part of it, okay. And then there's another graph of this, okay, like this reason for choosing a university, okay. So if this is a bar chart, okay. So we can see figure 1, okay, shows 11 reasons why the student from overseas choose particular university, okay. And then the survey for the first 1,000 student, okay, overseas carried out at university in UK. So these are the detailed information you have to give in, okay, where the data being collected, when the data collected, okay, and then the top 3 reasons were teaching related, okay. So you can see from which are the top 3 from the percentage here, okay. Okay. So and then well, you can explain more according to the graph. The main reason for the language was the tuition, okay, 95% of the sample, and then some of the main reason for why the student choose the university, and then the second factor of because of the quality of the teachers, okay, and then we also do the non-teaching factors, okay. So really in detail explaining some about the quality of the teachers, some are because of other things, okay. So like here it says non-teaching factors is also important. Like for example, the tuition cost is a reason why only 75% people choose overseas because of the cost. And then the location also dropped it to 70%, okay. And then 2/3 of the students say that the friendliness of the is also important, okay. And then in conclusion, the various factors divide it into 2 groups because of the one is because of the teaching and then one is not because of the non-teaching, okay. So everything start with introduction, and then you comment on the percentage of everything, then you conclude with a closing of the part, okay, of the result of the thing. Okay, any question? Okay, so this is another graph, okay. So another graph about London Underground station passenger of the time, okay. So basically any graph that you put in, there's always things to comment. Okay, so like this one shows the number of passengers who are the user of the London Underground day. Okay, and the graph show the number of people in London Underground station fluctuate over 24 hours. Okay, so this is from morning until night. So these are the extra segment. Okay, and then you can say the busiest time of the day was in the morning. There's a sharp increase. You can see from 6 it suddenly pick up until 8. Okay, so you can see, oh, there's a sharp increase with and then when you explain also put the details numbers, okay, like this 400 people. So from the graph that you can read, okay, there's 400 people at 8 o'clock. Okay, so put this value in, all this data from the graph to put in 400 people using the station at 8 o'clock, and then the numbers suddenly drop to 200. Okay, 200 at 10 o'clock. Okay, and then between 11 to 3, the number rose again. Okay, so 11 to 3. Even though rose a bit slow, we can say rose a bit. Okay, you can say to 300 people using the station, and then afternoon decline to 100. Okay, so afternoon here a decline, become 100 here, around 4 here. Okay, and then at 7 p.m. fell significantly. Okay, so those are the highlight in red are those the keywords. Okay, to actually describe the graph in more accurate and precise way. Okay, and then the overall graph showed that the station was most crowded in the early morning and early evening period. Okay, that is only the conclusion from this graph. Okay, this is another graph. Okay, this now we're talking about graph, and then this is a table. Okay, how you want to explain table. So table is also important. Okay, especially when you do testing, examiner would like to see a table of the parameters you set. Okay, if you are doing software simulation, there must be a table where you set what are the value parameters that you put in. Okay, and then when you put in this table, the parameters, if the value are taken from somewhere cited from anywhere, you have to also at the table here put the square bar here and say, okay, cited at number 13, reference number 13 or something like that. Okay, and then make sure that all the values that you put into the table or the parameters that you use are all not any numbers you make up, okay? Which means that the value are actual value taken from a data sheet or values that you refer to some research paper that can be used as real numbers figures. Okay. So for table, it's almost the same thing. You can just write the table, compare 4 different cars. Okay, so there's 4 different cars here. Based on the price, okay, so you can see based on price, country, engine, and miles per hour. Okay, so these are the keywords, okay, based on price, engine size, and fuel consumption, and then you start to elaborate one by one. Okay, and then you can say, oh, for overall the biggest car is VW Golf. Okay, because most expensive. So when you comment that VW Golf is the biggest car. Why? Because from here you can see, oh, because its price is high, okay, and then has the lowest fuel efficiency. Okay, so these are the way you do comparison. Okay, and then cost is an important factor in buying a car. So these are the comment that you put in or your suggestion. Okay, and the most important, the most expensive car is the VW Golf. Okay, over 18,000. And then this was 3,000 more expensive. So now you're doing comparison, okay, putting the different value. $3,000 more expensive than the other 3 cars, which cost only 15 to 15,000. And then the German Volkswagen also has the biggest engine size. So you put in, okay, 1600, and then Nissan has the smallest 12. Okay, so these are all key points, data that also can be used to assist in your writing of the discussion. Okay, and then after that you comment on the field. Okay, So depends on what parameters you have in here. Okay, so you can see you have 3 different parameters: one, price; country; engine; format. So you can write 4 points already. So each one of these keyword will be 1 point for evaluation. Okay, so this one is like talking about. So just now here talk about cost. Then the next line talk about the fuel consumption. Okay, and then earlier when they talk about the cost and the engine side, both points are together in one. So these are talking about the fuel economy size. Okay, and then in the end, the conclusion, the bigger car is more expensive. Okay, and the lower of the fuel station. So usually conclusion is from your own observation. Okay, why this happened. Okay, and if you want, it can be supported with the data given from the table. Okay, so customer will choose carefully because of this power features and everything. Okay, okay. So I hope everybody clear in how to write a very detailed discussion, putting in the key point and key values to it. Okay. Okay. Result elaboration, and then, as I said just now, you also need to link it with the theory and practical implementation of the research finding. Okay, so that's why it's important in chapter 4, when you write the finding, relate to the theory. Either you write in chapter 2 or in chapter 3, and also the practical implementation. Okay, the setup of the system and everything. Okay, so usually when we link to theory, of course linked to all this equation. Okay, the equation that you have studied and refer from books. Okay, so for example, this is talking about mechanism and empirical models. Okay, so you have do some experimental work on mechanism and empirical models. So how do you get that value? So then you can say, oh, we refer to this mechanism model built from the basic physics, and example, the Ohm's law. So using this equation to calculate the current value that we find equals to voltage divided by resistance. And then we also have epsilon, depends on the material that we use. We can also determine the different value of the current. Okay, so these are all, we call it theoretical values. Okay, that you can put in. Okay, and of course, if you develop you formulate your own equation, it's good to highlight. Okay, and like my student, usually most of my PhD students, they always formulate their own equation. So in the end, which equation that you formulate, you have to highlight this is your equation. Okay. So when you do this formulation, okay, this is important also because most external, they like to see all this mathematical formulation and equation formulation. Okay, so besides of doing testing in the lab, besides of mixing your materials together, after you mix your material together and get some value or your measurement value, you have to do a bit of mathematical calculation. Okay, or do some formulation from the equation of the standard equation. Okay, so for this case like this, just now we talk about this empirical model. Okay, so empirical model is built from engineering, and then from the example of the empirical model, so you talk about their equation. Okay, M equals FCT, and then how you change the function to get it. Okay, so all this either be discussed in chapter 2 or in chapter 3, but must put in this value. Okay, to show that these are the equation that you use for formulation of your work. Okay, and then from this equation, you show that this is the table that how you manage to get the values out from it. Okay, so you say look from observation 1 to 13 or 1 to 10, depends on it. Okay, for each of the parameter, different value, that you can obtain a different set of outcome value. Okay, so either this one you can calculate from the equation given, or you can simulate using any software. Okay, you can show this is simulated from the equation given, and then to get the final output. Okay. Okay, after that, from there, you plot the graph as we want. Okay. So, as I say, external doesn't sometimes doesn't want to see the graph only. Okay. Besides seeing the graph, they also need to know how you come up with this graph. Okay. Either this graph is calculated from formulation equation, or just simulated out from any software. But if you simulate from any software, they will also ask you which equation that you use that is put into the simulation software to generate out the output. Okay, so so you can see the sequence when you write the thesis and explaining how you obtain the result. So you have the equation, okay, or you have the formulation, and then from the table you generate this data, and then you can have output graph from it. Okay, so these are the step by step. Okay. Okay, and then in addition to that, you can say, okay, we do extra testing, okay, in order to calculate the pull strength. Okay, so the pull strength formula is equals to this pi plus pi 1 wire length and the die height. So you can say, okay, we do some changes in the parameter, we adjust the wire length, or you fix the die height and then you adjust the wire length, or you fix the wire length and adjust the die height. So you can get different data from it. Okay, so in general, this is the empirical model to calculate the regression model. Okay, and then from that, the estimated regression line is given by this value. Okay, so sometimes some students, when they do research, they are able to formulate a new equation. Okay, that can be used as a standard equation. Okay, so some is only just taken from standard theory, and then you just calculate and then you prove it through doing experimental work. Okay, some student like my student Dr. Wafi, when he do the railway track 1, track 2, he actually formulate his own equation. Okay, so he managed to show from the theory equation 1 by 1 how he combine all these equations to formulate one special equation that's going to calculate the different the distance between the distance and the transmitted system with different speed. Okay, so this is important to show that you really have put effort into getting output result for your research. Okay, and then of course you can plot different graph. Okay, so like this, if the data is able to allow you to plot 3-dimension scattered diagram, then fine. Okay, so this is another special graph that you can show the examiner. Besides plotting the 2-dimension graph, okay, you can also plot the 3-dimension graph showing the pull strength, this is the length and the die height. Okay, so you can see have 3 elements of parameter of it. Okay, and then from this 3-dimension, you can also plot this empirical model, and when you change the die height and the wavelength, you can see the thing also changes according to the 3 value. Okay, so so these are also sample of graph that you can plot. Well, of course, the graph plot, when you plot, you're able to explain how to look from this graph and what you want to see from this graph. Okay, so this one is to estimate the value of the pull strength from the empirical model. Okay, so pull strength at 80, so the height, the die height will be around 600. Okay, and then the wire length about 16. Okay. Okay, so whenever data are collected over time, it's important to plot the data. Okay, this one I've shown earlier. Okay, so this is the photon concentration. Okay, so these are the observation process over time. Okay, which means that like this, it's plot only one time you measure, you plot. Okay, this one is plot observed many times, maybe many hours. Okay, so you can see after 10 hours, you can observe, okay, acetone have a lot of concentration around this area, okay, then this one around area, okay. Or you can plot graph like this, observing process time, okay. So this is a series of time plot certain, this is the same as the graph over here. So you can either plot in dot form, or you can plot in this line form. Okay, so sometimes this line form up and down is not so nice. Okay, so that's why people put in dot form, so you can see, oh, okay, increase a lot in 41. Okay, so like this one around high level of 50 grams per hour. Okay. Okay. Sometimes you can show like this. Okay. When you present your thesis, you can have the experimental setup on top. Okay. Showing this demarming funnel experimenter. Okay. And then you can show the graph below how it obtains from the graph from the experimental setup above. Okay. So and then this is one you see before adjustment, and then with adjustment. Okay. So you will plot two graphs explaining this experimental setup. Okay. Or you can also plot in terms of point form. Okay, so this is the same as this one. Okay, but in more sharper. Okay, or you expand it. Okay, and then you do this statistical process mean to have a more detailed output of it. Okay, so like this one is too small, you cannot see in detail. Okay, but it's just showing like this one. I think it will just measure from your measurement machine. Okay, and then after that you can take this point and then you use the Excel, and then you put into more detailed and sharper output valuation. Okay, and then if you want, also can zoom into the area. Okay, to find that higher control value. Okay, so from here, maybe it's too large, too much volume. Okay, you want to show the examiner that which point you want to study. Okay, so for example, you want to study between 41, 51. So you can just zoom into the area and make it much more clearer output point of the control vision. Okay, so but when you put in to zoom in, so then you have to also highlight something else like, okay, upper control limit, how many, lower control limit, how many. Okay, so these are all detailed graph and output that you can put in together. Okay. Okay, any question on discussion and highlighting graph your results? Okay, so you can see these are all the type of graph we can say are equivalent to PhD level or master level graph. Okay, so more detailed and advanced version of it. Any question? Okay. So the next part is this AI tools lah. Okay. I know compared to my time when we do our PhD, there's no chat GPT, no AI tools. Okay. So and of course when you use chat GPT AI tool, you put in anything, it will always give you a good result, good statement and everything. Okay. So students have to be careful lah. Okay. When you use AI tools for scientific research methodology. Now, like UTM, any thesis that have been submitted, they have this AI tools checker, okay, to check whether student ready write their own thesis or it's all generated by AI ChatGPT. Okay, so the system can detect. Okay, so as I advise most students, you want to use AI tools to help you in writing, it's fine, but have to be careful. You have to actually write your own, use your own idea, use your own arrangement and everything. Okay, so AI tools for scientific research methodology, including review. So usually we use all this systematic scholar, okay, and think now everybody is using ChatGPT. Okay, but I think the most important thing that we always want to use is this Turnitin lah. Okay, Turnitin to check your similarity of work and your writing with other people work. Okay, and we also use this Mendeley. Mendeley is tools for managing and organizing your format thesis, your reference, and everything. Okay, so I think at my time also we use Mendeley and Turnitin. Okay, so, and of course you can use this grammar checker. Okay, like UTHM. I think we encourage to have some third party to read your thesis and comment first. Okay. At my time during when I write my thesis, I was lucky. My supervisor did not ask me to send to anybody because it was very expensive. Last time, I think one page when I was in UK, I think £5. I think. So if let's say I have 200 pages, £5 would be almost 1,000 pound. That time times 7 is almost 7,000 ringgit just to check my thesis. Okay. So my supervisor was kind enough to help me check my grammar and everything. Okay. So if you are able to have a supervisor that help you to check your grammar too, then it's fine. But I think CGS need another confirmation of confirmation that your thesis has been read by some third party. Okay. So advice on AI tools is just for Mendeley Turnitin and then ChatGPT to help you rewrite some statement, but mostly you have to write your own words and write it yourself. Okay. Okay. The next last few parts here is about sharing lah. Okay, my routines writing my PhD students lah. Okay. It's not easy lah. Okay, so many students before that, and each of them have their own character. As I say, some if you don't push them, they just keep quiet and don't see you. Okay, and then we have to call them and promise to see every week. Okay, I have some students like Dr. Bagandas. He always see me every week. Okay. So in the end, after he graduated with his PhD, I think he published almost 30 journal plus conference paper. Okay, so some students like Dr. Shumaini, they only managed to publish 5 papers. Okay, so it depends lah. Okay, some students are hardworking and they want to achieve something. Okay, they will do a lot of other things lah. Okay. So when we talk about PhD life, of course, people will think only work, social, sleep. Okay, but in reality, a lot of things you have to actually look into lah. Okay. Last time when I was studying my PhD, I also did some part-time job in Warwick University. Okay, so I become a lab assistant for University of Warwick and a few other things lah. Okay, so and if you are studying PhD in US, you have to also attend class, theory class, where they encourage students to attend theory class. And in US, you have to pass the theory class before you can do the dissertation. Okay? When I was in UK, I only attend theory class to help me in my PhD work. Okay, and I don't need to pass. I don't need to see any examination. Okay, so I think in UTHM, if you feel that there's some master by coursework class that you want to attend, you can tell your supervisor or you can tell the faculty to join in and sit in to help you in your research work. Okay, so that will help you more. Okay, and of course, every day you have to plan. Okay, your checklist what you want to do. Okay, of course, sometimes what we plan in the end we do something else. Okay, like this cartoon. Okay, it's important that you and your supervisor will have this what we call a weekly report lah. Okay, weekly report of what you want to do. Okay, and then try to write down lah. Okay, after 1 week, what you find out. Okay, like this weekly report is to read reference paper. Okay, so those who are actually in first year, first semester of your study, the first year or the first semester is crucial because after you decide what area you want to do, you have to start reading a lot of papers. Okay, start searching for all the papers and then read. Okay, so this one last time what I did was I read papers, then I jot down. Okay, what this paper is about. Okay, what is it talking about, and what application it will do, and what is the output result of the analysis and everything. Okay, so from here you can identify which paper is important for your work and which paper is not. Okay, and then from here, after you jot down all this research paper, you can see all the methodology or the method that other people have done, and then you can come up with your own method, what you want to do. But to start off, usually we will follow some other people method first and try to stimulate, okay, and then or do practical and testing, okay, show that it's viable first, okay, and then after that, from there we do a modification or integration to get a much better output result. Okay. Okay, these are some of the when you do PhD, you have to publish lah. Okay, so these are some of the example of Dr. Bagan work. Okay, he wrote a book in chapters. Okay, and then he published in journals. Okay, this is after I think he was in year 2, I think, when he start to publish in book chapters. Okay, and then starting writing paper actually. After year 1, second semester, he already start to write. The first one was actually a review paper. Okay? He wrote a review paper after reading so many literature review papers. He wrote the review paper, then he start publishing. Okay, okay, so development and foundation. Okay? So when you want to start development and foundation, you have to think from all angles. When you read people's work, you also have to think, okay, why they do like this, okay, why they choose this material, why they choose this value, okay, and why not other values, okay. You have to read in between their lines, like what they write, okay. Maybe they did actually test for other values and things, but because the result is not so good, they only present the good values, okay. So important. Must think from all angles, okay, when you start development and foundation. Okay, use a logbook. Okay, take the basic direction and start turning it over in your mind. Okay, so like my wife, Professor supervisor, they were from this chemistry department. They already have all the students. They have a logbook. Okay. So like my supervisor, he did not say he need a logbook, but I did it myself to have a logbook. Okay, so anything you read, you write it down. Okay, and because sometimes after first year reading and everything, maybe when you go to second year, you did something else and you forgot. So if you write down your logbook, then you can flip and turn and to see maybe you have missed something else. Okay. Write down everything you come up with on paper, even it doesn't seem viable. Okay, so this is important, because when you're in first year, when you start doing things, you do not know which is important. Okay, so if possible, anything come across which is related to your research, just write it down. Okay, and then start with obvious approach. Okay, obvious approach is I say usually like what I say, you are going to do, like for example, my work was designing receiver. Okay, so before I start to modify and come up with my own receiver, so I just take what good papers, and they say their bandwidth is very high, their gain is very high. So I take their design and I use stimulation software to stimulate out to see that whether I can get what we want. Okay, so that is an obvious approach. Okay? So when we stimulate with the idea, then we know, okay, it can function. Okay? So after getting the first step of functioning of what people's work, then you will start to think about other questions, okay, that are indirectly related to the main thrust of your guideline. Okay, so this is what we call synthetic specific topic. Okay, so we try to change. Okay, so like my PhD work, initially, my supervisor wants me to do an automatic adjust bandwidth for me. Okay, but in the end, when I complete, I have both automatic control of bandwidth and automatic control of the gain. Okay, so two things at one time. Okay, so this is how you start to question and think of other work on how to start off. Okay, and then to visualize in your mind at this stage what kind of methodology you're going to use, okay, and how are you going to collect the data. Okay? So this is important because you need to get ready the equipments. Okay? So at that time, like when I was designing my circuit, okay, initially I was using this PSpice, okay, a simple software. But then as I go to higher frequency, higher bandwidth, I could not do it. Okay, so I found a software, we call it MicroCap, and I could send my supervisor to buy it for me. So then he bought the software for me, and then I managed to use it. Then after that, when I come for practical fabrication, okay, so and testing, so that's why you need to plan, okay, how you want to collect the data, okay? Whether the equipment is available in your faculty or department, okay? Because we do not want. There was a colleague of mine, but he was not. He was studying in UK, but from UTHM. Imagine he was in third year. Almost going third year of the mid of third year. He actually haven't started doing his practical measurement yet. He has all the theory, everything ready, but because he was relying on equipment to arrive, so in the middle of third year, he still has not started doing any testing. So I think his equipment arrived end of the third year, so he have to extend one more year, fourth year, to do just the measurement. Okay? Alhamdulillah, in the end, he managed to finish. Okay, so all these things happen. Okay, I also have another colleague. His work was in the end he did not finish his PhD. Okay, he was doing. I think he was doing some. He's from computer science. He was doing some database. Okay, for patient in hospital. Okay, so his supervisor sent him to Spain to collect data. Send him here and there everywhere to collect data. But after collecting data, he didn't have the software, the right software to write to generate to develop this the software for him to do it. Okay. So he tried to write his own program, but it didn't work. So I think after 5 years, he was trying to prolong until 5 years, but in the end, he did not finish. Okay. So as I say, it's important, okay, to make sure that the equipment. Some supervisor asks us to do something, but the equipment is not there, it's not ready. So you have to avoid, okay? Otherwise, it will drag you longer and longer doing your PhD, okay? So make sure all the things are available around, okay? Okay, expanding your ideas with research, okay? Start from the basic, okay? spend time. Number one, you have to spend time collecting stack of books and skimming them for valuable information until you exhaust those resources. Okay. So when my first year, I was, I already know what I want to do. It's going to design a receiver. So we find many books, try to collect all the books that's suitable. Okay. And I was in Warwick. Some books which is not available when I look at the internet is available. Some other university Warwick will borrow for me, and then when it arrives, then we have to go through and get all the resources we can. Okay. Keep an open notebook or portable device with a notepad on hand and copy down everything that might be useful. Okay. So as I say, do not miss anything. Okay. Because sometimes some of them you jot down, maybe later on you might need it, especially when you want to write discussion. Okay. You want to find answers, how to answer to the graph that you got, okay, why is it dropping or increasing. So maybe some of the notes that you jot down from before, previous statement from other researcher or other professor that can help you answer that part of the graph. Okay. So it's generally considered more convincing to source one item from 3 different authors who all agree on it than to rely on one book. Okay. So do not focus on only one book. Okay. You have to actually source from different authors. Okay. As I say, throughout your PhD work, many people have started doing the same thing and start to publish along many times. Okay. So you have to, and even though in the end, when you're near to completing your writing your thesis and near publication, you still have to do some literature review. Okay. Let's say, for example, this is 2025, you are ready to submit your thesis or your finding. Okay. But while doing that, before the final submission, go to internet, check, see that if suddenly somebody else has published the same work as yours. Okay. Because it's important. Because it's when you go to Viva and then suddenly the external say, oh, this one I read has been published. What then they will ask you question, what's different yours from that? And then when they look at both of them, it's almost the same. So who copy who, we do not know. Okay, but because of the person who published first, so he will claim that he is the one who have done it first, and you are the one who copy his work. Okay, so actually literature review is not only for the first year, second year. Actually, throughout your PhD studies, you always have to once in a while to check online to see if any other people have done your work, okay, or any new latest discovery related to your work. Okay. So be sure to check citation, endnotes, and bibliography to get more potential sources, okay, and see whether or not all your authors are quoting the same from one author. Okay. So write down your sources and other relevant details around your piece of information. Right now will save a lot of trouble in future. Okay. This one is important. Okay. That's why I ask students to use Mendeley. Okay. Especially when you do the reference. Okay. Because in the end, after 3 years, sometimes you forgot which resources you have taken from. Okay. So in the early, when you start with PhD, every time you read one paper, if you have the Mendeley system, key in and then save into the system. Okay. And then you can jot down, okay, I took some materials or resources from this paper. Okay. So that when you write your thesis, you know how to refer to which of the papers. Okay. So setting the limits on your research. Okay. This is a debate lah. Okay. That's why when I say some people take 10 years, some people take 7 years, some take 3 years. So how to set limit on your research? Okay. It's about yourself lah. Okay. So if you have funding for 3 years, you really have to work hard to complete in 3 years. Okay. You really have to become an explorer. Okay. Good in record keeping. Good in critical thinking. Okay. when you get something, as I say, when you obtain graph result that increase and decrease and everything, you have to think, okay, why like this? Okay, answer, then you see a supervisor and ask, why is this happening like this? Okay, maybe you read from theory, it's supposed to happen in another way, but then your output result shows another way. Okay, so and of course, you also know what you should expect, lah. Okay, when you do testing and you roughly know that what type of graph you already want to obtain. Okay, so let's say for like me, when I do my civil design, so I already know the bandwidth graph that I need to get. Okay, only the cutoff point of the bandwidth graph that I need to adjust. Okay, my target was at that time 1 gigahertz. Okay, so if I get the cutoff point less than 1 gigahertz, which means that my design has not reached to that potential. Okay, so usually whatever experimental work that you want to do for your research, you really roughly know the outcome of the graphs that you should get. Okay, so how to know is based on the previous research work. So you can know, okay, when I do this testing, the graph is going to increase slowly and then shoot up. Okay, so that is what you should be expecting. Okay. Okay, and then of course to debate lah. Okay, if you have a group of researcher in your room, okay, a group of, if let's say a supervisor have 5 or 6 students together, then it's good to sit down to discuss lah. Okay, get opinion from other people to debate lah. Okay, when I was in UK, my supervisor, like 1 month once, all of us were gather to have coffee lah in the meeting room above, and during the coffee time, but it's a random lah. Okay, whoever want to tell something about their research, how is it going, so they can just chit chat and then ask around in the room while we are having coffee, and who want to answer and give some feedback. So that's what usually in UK they do the style. Okay, so maybe in Malaysia we don't have that kind of depends lah. Okay, depends on its supervisor. Okay, okay. This is a literature review. Okay, a publication. 600 papers in 3 months. Okay? So some say a lot. Okay, our previous vice chancellor, Prof. Rosadi, he set a target for his student 1,000 papers in 3 months. Okay, so for me, I only set 600 papers in 3 months. Okay, so some student last time my student always ask me how to get 600 papers. Okay, how you get 600 paper is that first you find one paper, okay, and then you read the content, everything, and then inside the paper you can see there's reference. So maybe that paper have, let's say, 40 reference. So you have to look for the 40 reference of the paper that has been cite related to paper that you find. Okay, so from that 40 reference, so maybe you take one of from reference 1. And when you read reference 1 paper, inside reference 1 paper, there's also another set of reference. Okay, so that's how you get so many papers in 3 months. Okay, so you have to actually basically look and find all of them. Okay, to see what they have written and why this author have cited that paper. Okay? So from journal, okay, international journal and website related company. Okay. So like my case, because I was going to do design, so I need to find some component on photodiode, some component on amplifier. So I have to search for top company that is making that component that can give me the high output bandwidth. Okay. Published in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Okay, Q1. It's very difficult, but I think if you are in 3rd year, you should be able to. Okay, so usually when you are a 1st year student, if you want to publish, then you can go for Scopus, okay, or Q4 paper. Okay, so as you move up to 2nd year, then you can target for Q3, Q2 paper, and then when you go to final year, you should be able to have Q2 and Q1 paper. Okay. So, for example, my student, Dr. Wafi, when he went for his Viva, I think he only have 5 papers, I think, 1 journal and I think 4 conference paper. Okay. So, I think it's recently, last 2 years, we only managed to publish his work in Q1, Q2 paper. So it takes some time, okay, to gather to write the paper. And when we managed to publish Q1, Q2 paper, before that the rejection was high. Okay, every time we submit, sometime after submit today, in 2 days time reject. Some journal submit today, by tomorrow morning already send rejection. Okay, so not easy. Okay, I remember like my student Dr. Saleh, when his first paper was managed to publish in IEEE Access Q2. Before getting that first paper Q2, I think he submitted almost 10 times. Okay, all rejected. He came to me, he was like very sad and almost want to cry. Okay, why so difficult to publish? Okay, so yeah, when I read through his work, that's why I say the way we write the discussion, the way we present the output result, that is one of the key factors, okay, on how to get published in Q1, Q2. Okay, so when you want to publish in Q1, Q2, you must make sure that your discussion your discussion must be strong and solid, okay. Why this happened, because of what, and must be supported with evidence. Okay. So so these are all the try to do it, okay. If let's say any of you after completing PhD you want to become academician, now to become academician not easy. Okay, when you call for interview by any university, they will ask you how many Q1, Q2 paper you have published. If you have none, then it's difficult to get that job. Okay, so if you are targeting to become academician, you have to, from doing your PhD work or master level work, you have to start targeting for Q1, Q2 paper. Okay. Okay, this is an experiment based. This is my Dr. Bagan's work. Okay, so if you are working for experimental based, so important on purchasing components. Make sure that your lab have all the basic lab equipment. Okay, because this is related to the result that you want to get. Okay, as I say, if you do only stimulation, some examiner are not very keen. Okay, but if you have experimental based, they will sure high chance of positive, easy to pass is much higher. Okay, so basic lab equipment, and then of course you must make sure you have a table or room, okay, in your lab where you want to set up your experimental base. And then when you set up, make sure that nobody can move around your work. Okay, so last time when I was in UK, we all have a big lab. Okay, so each of us have one corner given by Warwick University, so we can set up our own set of equipment there. Okay, and make sure every result must be validated. Okay, so you can do the testing. Okay, set up the system. Okay, and then you can also withdraw back the system in your computer using Kanban and thing, and then show how the output result can be simulated and be done. Okay. Okay. Target outcomes of the thesis and publication. Okay. What you want to target to achieve from your PhD study or master research study. Okay. So this is the minimum. Okay. The minimum target. Okay. So by 3 years, then, okay. So if you want to write book in chapter. Okay, book in chapter is easy to publish. So by end of 3 years, you're able to write 5 book in chapter. Okay, so among my students, like Dr. Aus, Dr. Mayada, they all have each of them have a book in chapter and also a book, I think. Okay, Bagan does have also book in chapter. Not all students are keen to do it. Okay, that's why students must be keen in writing. Okay, in order to have. And sometimes when I get an invitation for submitting the book in chapter, so I ask my student if they want to contribute, so we submit. But not every time when we invited will be accepted. Okay, because some book in chapter have to be paid. Okay, some are free. Okay? So depends on what invitation. Okay, I usually go for the free one. Okay, because and the book in chapter they have published is all under Taylor. They are all coordinated by overseas professors. Okay, they invite us to submit and contribute to book in chapters. Okay? Scopus paper, if you want to publish one each year, you can minimum target one for each year. Okay? Scopus paper is easy. You go for one conference, but make sure it's high impact conference, then you're able to publish that. Okay. So as I say, between third month and 6 months, okay, after you do the literature review, you can start for targeting Q3 and Q4 paper by submitting a survey literature review paper. Okay. And then move on to Q1, Q2. Okay. So by end of your PhD, you actually can achieve 6 okay, if you consistently do it every year. Okay. So I think that's why I say Bagan does almost 30 to 40 papers. Aus and Maeda also 20 mixed okay, conference and journal. Okay. The rest are all only few 5 or 6. So depends. As I said, depend on the student. Okay. Some are energetic to do it. Some are just want to have minimum pass. Okay. So they target to how many papers they look. Okay. In UTHF, I think only 2. Okay. Some of my friends from UPM, UKM, if they don't get Q2 paper published, they cannot go for Viva. Okay. So some universities are very harsh. Okay. So UTHM is still lenient a bit. Okay. So okay. Copyright patent filing. Okay. Out of all my students, only 2 students who like to do innovation program. Okay. Dr. Aus Mayada and Dr. Bagan only have patent filing and copyright. Okay. The rest of the students, because they are doing image processing, they are all software based. Okay. So patent filing and copyright is only for those who are doing hardware procedure. Okay. And then going for exhibition, innovation competition. Okay. So Bagandas was the one who went for the most innovation competition. Okay. So he won a lot of medals, like gold medal from ITEX, International MTE. Okay. So in order to go for this innovation competition, you need to have hardware before university will allow us to go. Okay. If just only software, then a bit difficult. Okay. Okay, so this is the another thing. Problem. You have problem if your research, you have to solve immediately. Okay. Between 1 or 2 months, try to solve it. Don't drag for too long, because dragging too long, then you will start to your motivation will go down, and then you will start to decrease. Okay. So either you solve it with your supervisor or co-supervisor. Okay. Or any external parties, maybe company. Like me, when I was doing my PhD, I like to send email to some professors from other countries. Okay, when I read the paper, I could not download their full paper, so I just send email to them. I got response. Some professors they respond and they send me the paper for me to read. Okay, so like me, I have 2 supervisors, Roger Green and Mark Leeson. Okay. but I always go to Roger Green only lah. Okay, because Mark Leeson, he's a bit strict lah. Okay, so sometimes he don't he asks me to do something else which is out of the context of my work lah. Okay. Mentor-mentee is if you have senior students, PhD, okay, let's say your first year, any senior PhD student in your circle, okay, or under your supervisor, so you can ask them for guidance, okay. So below this one is Dr. Bagan's work, okay. So he have set up this equipment, and then you can see the equipment at the side here, and then he plot the graph. So many graph result. It's an eye diagram and different variation of setting. Okay, to get the output result. Okay. These are the awards. Okay. Dr. Bagan, he managed to get this Best Man Inventor Award for his work. Okay, and he presented for ITEX. Okay. So then he attend this RISE Internal University competition. Okay. So if you are doing hardware and then you want to have some comment, okay, because when you go for this innovation competition, there's judge to come. Okay. So this judge, when they ask question and then they give comment, it will be helpful for your PhD research. Okay. Okay, I think that's all for my two topics here. Okay, so I'm open for question lah. Okay.
Prof.
Yeah.
Regarding the link,
Yeah.
We can upload the document in that link.
But I already opened already.
We can access it, but maybe we can only view. We can edit.
So I need to change to apa?
Edit.
Oh, editor. Okay. I will set the thing. So like not very tak pandai lah untuk setting.
Tak apa, Prof. If you need my help, I can create. Tapi cuma nanti they submit to me and then I will compile and send to you later. Or okay. You want to change the setting?
I will try again. Yesterday when I gave the link, I thought I already open. I already set open, but then it did not save into open mode. Okay, I will change to to submit must editor mode.
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Yeah. Okay, any question from students? Any? Today, very tiring for me. I meeting this morning, and then I have class 11 to 2, and then continue 2 to 5. Okay, no question. I hope everybody understand. But you can drop me an email if you want anything. Okay, so if none, then thank you very much for your time. Okay, I hope my sharing is useful for you, for all the students in helping your PhD studies. Okay, don't worry, I'm still around. If you anything, you can just drop by and ask me if you want. Just drop me an email. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you again, Prof, for your time.